Alrighty, looks like we're live. So, hello, welcome to episode 3 of Random Access Energy, the web development podcast where three friends delve into the sea of web development and try and learn as much as we can. My name is Joseph. I'm here with Ricardo. Say hi, Ricardo.
Hello.
And we're here with Philip.
How's it going? Good to see everybody.
And today we were going to continue off of where we left last time with the responsive web design certification on Free Code Camp.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe after that, Philip has an interview coming up. He wanted to get our 2 cents on it, talk about it a little bit. And then maybe after that, we'll just see where we taper off to.
Sounds good. Yeah, so like Joe said, the responsive web design, we're on the basic HTML5 section. And we were able to complete about a dozen of these lessons. We're on the nested anchor element within a paragraph. So if Joe or Ricky doesn't want to say anything, I'll just click on it and we'll get started, and I'll try to figure it out and they'll help me.
I don't have anything to add. Ricardo?
Yeah, nothing to add yet.
Let's jump into it.
Let's do it. Alrighty, so forgive me, I haven't seen this yet, so bear with me. You can nest links within other text elements.
So do you remember what anchors are, Philip?
An anchor is, I'll try, but an anchor is basically perhaps maybe like an image or some sort of source that leads to like another website or an image or something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty close. It's basically just a link to another image, a URL to another image, something clickable.
So you can, right on. So the image is clickable.
You could make an image, yeah.
I see.
I think that's what actually. Oh no, they didn't have you do that. So that on your display, your output, that cat photos with the blue underline, that's an anchor tag.
This is the anchor tag.
And when you click on it, it leads to that web address of www.freecatphotoapp.com.
I hear you.
And I believe this module, this lesson, wants you to just nest an anchor link inside of like a paragraph of text.
Right on. Nest a existing A element. So this is my existing A element within a new P element. So I'm going to create a new P element, right? So like that, and then I'll have one that's closing like that.
Yep.
The new paragraph should have the text that says view more cat photos, where cat photos is a link. The rest is plain text. So would I put the cat photos within after this anchor, or would I replace the cat photos?
Your cat photos is already there. You already have the link for cat photos. You just really need to add the text around it. So view more, and then that's it. Just view more.
So like right here.
Yeah, give it a shot. No, you shouldn't have to include the cat photos. You see what's happening on your output? It's...
Oh, I see. So just put view more?
Yeah, just view more.
Yeah.
I see. Should I run? And then this should be good to run?
As far as... Yeah, from what I can tell. Simple enough.
Nice.
Good job, guys. Make dead links using the hash symbol. Sometimes you want to add A elements to your website before you know they're really a link. This is also handy when you're changing behavior of link using JavaScript, which we'll learn about later. The current value of the href attribute is a link that points to. So they want me to replace this attribute value with a hash. So it creates a dead link.
Yeah. It's pretty self-explanatory. Basically, if you don't have a target to go to right now, you use a hash. That way it's still read and processed.
I see. So it's like sort of like a placeholder.
Yeah, exactly. So it just wants you to replace that URL with just a hash.
Yeah.
Make sure you include it in quotes.
In quotes? Okay.
Yeah, I believe every property of an HTML element has to be in quotes.
Let me see if that works.
Try it without. See if that works. Sometimes they're pretty smart and they'll be able to read it without, but it's usually best practice to include the quotes.
Right.
Give that a shot. Yeah, see, it's smart enough to still read it.
Yeah. Right on.
It would be that like debate of to use semicolons or to not use semicolons in JavaScript, which is something we'll get to. But
I hear you. You can make elements into links by nesting them within an A element. Nest your image within an A element. Here's an example.
so this is similar to what you did with the text.
Right.
But instead of nesting your anchor inside of a text paragraph, instead you're anchoring an image. You're nesting an image inside of your anchor because you have your anchor opening and then closing. If you scroll to the right on that little code snippet that they give you,
right here
on the left side, that far left pane, the example.
This one?
Yeah, you have your opening anchor with the href set to a dead link, and then if you scroll to the right on that, on the scroll bar, right underneath it.
This one, right?
No, there's a scroll bar underneath the example.
Oh, yeah.
No, underneath the code snippet. Scroll right there. There you go.
Gotcha.
And then you have at the end, you should have a closing anchor tag. There you go. Basically, you're just putting an image inside of your anchor tags. You're opening and closing anchor tags.
You're opening and closing the anchor tags. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
So they want you to
I'm working with image. Line 3, right?
You're going to start on line 5 because you're working with the image. So you're basically making the image a link. So what you need to do is, you seem like you're getting it.
And it's like you mentioned earlier. They do like to have it in quotations.
Yes.
Image source equals though, and then like you said, I have to close it.
Yep. This is all pretty simple stuff. It's giving you an idea of like what you can do with HTML, going over basics, but that should pass.
Right on. Yeah, thanks for being patient with me. I am a bit rusty since last time.
You know, it'd be useful is if I could like ping your screen or something.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah.
Maybe we can get on TeamViewer.
Sometime. Yeah, maybe next time. That's a good idea. So create a bulleted unordered list. Oh, this is interesting. HTML has a special element for creating unordered lists or bullet point style lists. So it starts off with U1 with LI elements. For instance, unordered lists. Remove the last 2 P elements. Okay. And create an unordered list of 3 things that cats love at the bottom of the page. So I can put whatever
you want.
Alrighty.
It doesn't even have to be 3 things that cats really love. It's just checking for the elements.
Right on. So UL. I'll just put yarn because cats like yarn. What were we gonna say, Ricky?
That's a good one.
Yarn. Let's put tuna. Cats like tuna. And then last but not least, what do you guys want?
Milk.
Boxes.
Well, actually, I think milk is bad for cats, if I remember right. But boxes is a good one.
Boxes? Right on.
Yeah, Miranda's cat loves boxes.
Just like to be in them?
Yeah, you throw a box on the floor and he'll jump into it.
Oh, my bad. I didn't close that thing. That's pretty funny.
It's a pretty typical cat. I read recently that cats actually kind of like domesticated themselves, and they're fairly similar to their ancestors. They haven't like changed much to adapt to us
That's
the way
that's
dogs
crazy.
have.
Mm-hmm.
I thought was really interesting.
Create an ordered list.
Yeah, so right now it's just going through the different list types.
Mhm.
Or unordered and ordered. Unordered uses bullet points. Ordered list uses the numbered list.
Mhm.
And I believe you could even style like an ordered list to use alphabet A, B, C points instead of numbers. And
Right.
that'll be through CSS, which is something that'll be next. You can CSS is really awesome because it'll let you customize pretty much any aspect of your page. So they want you
I
to
hear
create
you.
an ordered list of the top 3 things cats hate the most.
Cats hate most. What do cats hate? Man, they hate cold. I don't know. Let's put cold weather. Do cats hate dogs? Well, in this example, they do. What about
Water.
what's water? Good one. And then I do have to remember to close this like that. I think that should be right.
Yeah, that works. Nice.
Let's create a web form.
So this is where I'm a little weaker. I don't know a whole lot about forms. Ricardo, you might be better.
Will this take input? That's interesting.
Yeah, this will work with inputs.
I also don't know too much, but I mean, basically just memorizing what elements exist, and then just like what attributes they actually take in as arguments.
I've worked with inputting fields with other programming languages, but never like this.
So if you scroll down before you submit and go to the
Sure.
next challenge, scroll down on your output.
Here
On the far right, the web page.
All right.
There you go. That input
Gotcha.
at the bottom is
Oh,
what
nice.
you just created. And I believe you can set the property of type to. There's a few numbers you could do, like numbers only. Let's see. We could check W3 schools. Let's see. W3.
Oh, look.
You can do the date too.
It creates the because you put number, it creates the.
Yeah, you could do email. I know email is awesome because it'll automatically check to make sure it's a valid email.
Really? A valid one, or like with a valid domain?
You might have to put required after the type. But you don't have a submit button right now, so it doesn't do
right. It's just a field. Just write whatever you want there. Yeah. All right. That's good for now.
Real quick, W3 Schools says the different types of inputs. There's a bunch. There's button, checkbox, color, date, email, file, numbers, passwords, submit buttons, text buttons. This is a ton. There's like 20 here. So that'll be something that you'll have to decide on when you're building your website or you're getting to a input field. I think you're good to move on.
Right on. Alrighty. Add placeholder text to a text field. Oh, that's nice. So you could sort of like let the person know what exactly, like username, if it's a text field for a username, right?
Yes and no. What you're talking about does exist. This is different. This would be kind of like a default value. If you had people filling out this form and they needed to have something in this form, but not everybody was going to change it, you would have like a default value in there.
Interesting.
Already. Um, I'm trying to remember the attribute for Ricardo. Do you remember the attribute for the grayed out text? Like an example?
I don't.
This
What
should
does
work,
that
right?
look like? Yeah.
Scroll
What
down.
does that look like though?
Yeah, I want to see what it looks like. Maybe I got it confused. Oh, see,
There you go.
this is what I was talking about. You were right.
Oh,
There
yeah.
was one. Let me see if I can find it.
I hear where you're coming from, though.
It might be default.
Mm-hmm. So I'll put default placeholder, or instead of placeholder, put default.
Instead of placeholder, try putting default.
Default.
No,
Mm-hmm.
that didn't work. It's all right.
No
I'm
worries.
sure we'll get to it sometime.
Yes, we will. All right, so it wants me to create a form element now.
So, I think this was almost where we wanted to stop. Did you guys want to stop, or we're going pretty fast? We might be able to just bang out the rest of this little section.
Yeah, possibly. We haven't hit the radio buttons yet.
I think
But
it's
if
like
it,
2 away.
Yeah, it's like 2
yeah,
away.
if we do find out that, you know, if I do get through pretty quick, then yeah, let's just finish the whole thing. Because I thought this would take longer, but we're going pretty quick.
Yeah, the HTML is pretty easy. The CSS might take a bit longer because we have to understand how grids and the flex works, or flex type works. But HTML is really straightforward.
Right.
So they want you to nest the input you just created inside of a form element.
Okay.
So this is where I get really weak. Ricardo, you made that form. I know you focused mainly on JavaScript using it, but do you think you could talk a little bit about how forms work?
Yeah. I just made it using like the HTML, but I used the JavaScript for like validating the input. So I was just trying to figure out how like the actual data is submitted from like the form user interface to the like JavaScript in the back. But yeah, basically when you create a form element, you can put a bunch of different sort of like fields that the user can fill out. And then when they hit submit, that form is submitted to whatever like little it's either a URL or like a file path you put where the action is.
And what is it sent over as? Is it like an object or?
Yeah, it's kind of like a dictionary if you're familiar with like Python or like a hash map. So it's like a key value pair type storage thing. So it'll store like whatever the name or like the ID was for the input element and then the actual value. And
Got
it'll
you.
do something like that. Or you could
Okay.
even access the actual like HTML element based off like what input type it is using the like JavaScript select
Okay.
document.
Cool. Yeah, because I've been curious. I haven't had to make a form that actually did something. I know the last project for this certification, or one of the last projects, is to create a form, but you don't have to do anything with it. It's just you just create the look of the form. And it
No,
looks like
yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say it looks like Philip got it done.
Oh no, real quick. I think I'm a little stuck. Check this out. So I was trying to follow the form. So the form action, I assigned this URL, and it wanted me to nest the existing input element within the form. So, but it's not letting me run it. I might
Yeah.
have done something wrong.
Uh,
It looks like you're missing a closing greater than sign at the end of that opening form
yeah.
tag.
This one?
No, the
No,
first
the
one.
one that
Oh,
Follow that.
this.
That,
after the
but it
action.
needs to be after the URL. Because remember,
Um,
the action is a property of the form.
oh, I see. Oh, I get you. So right here, right?
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
delete
and
that
then you
first
just
one. That
Gotcha.
should fix it.
Right on. Appreciate that.
To the 9.
Yeah, just the syntax thing.
So
Once you start using VS Code and the Emmet abbreviations,
Oh,
you don't have
man.
to worry about
You're gonna
that
get
as much.
spoiled.
So,
It is so convenient, especially that exclamation mark when you open up a
yeah,
new
the starting
HTML.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
So now it wants me to do a submit button to the form. So button type equals submit. This one submits the form. Interesting. Add a button to the last element of your form element. So somewhere right here, I'll put button. And the text will be simply submit. And I have to close out.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully this works.
And if you scroll down, you'll see what you just made.
Oh yeah, thanks for letting me know. Right there. Ooh, so I could put with an
You put whatever you
exclamation.
want. Yeah.
Yeah. Submit.
Alrighty.
So
Ooh,
now we're at the to require a field.
So this is pretty useful for things like emails
Right.
or telephone numbers or passwords.
Or a payment, right?
Yeah,
Obviously
payment.
you want them to pay before
You don't want people to be able to submit a form without the things that are required.
Absolutely.
It's really simple. All you do is add the word required inside the opening tag of an element. And I believe it can go anywhere. It doesn't have to be at the end.
Wow.
It's really simple. So you could make that submit button required or whatever they want you to do.
Right.
Your text input.
Let's see. Text. Can I put it after here?
Yes, that's where you would put it. They do want you to put it on the text input instead of the button, but you could put it on both.
I see. They want you to put it on the text.
Yes. So your input type text. And then right after the placeholder.
This one?
Yeah, right there. That's where you would put it.
Could you do it for both, or is this is redundant, huh?
You could do it for both. Because I guess for the submit button, yeah, it would be a little redundant. For another type of button, it wouldn't be though. Now, if you scroll down and you try to hit the submit button with nothing in the text, it says it's required.
Please fill out this field. Oh, interesting.
You could put anything in there. And I believe this is how, if you create an input type of email and you make it required, it'll check to make sure it's a valid email. As in that it includes the @ symbol and like an address at the end. It's as far as it goes, but it's, for most cases, that's enough.
Okay, so now at the radio buttons, we're three quarters of the way there. How are you guys feeling?
I'm feeling good. We're going pretty quick, but we are slowing down, I've noticed. Do we want to pause it here and pick up next episode and talk about your interview stuff for a while? What do you guys think?
Ricky, what do you think?
Because right now we're 5 minutes in. No, we're 25 minutes in.
We're 25 minutes in?
Yeah, so
I was like 5 minutes. That's crazy.
It's starting to get a little long. I think the best bet right now would probably be to call it. We could focus next episode on just finishing up the last quarter of this. And then we could talk about your interview stuff for a while, because this was a really interesting topic for me.
Right on. Okay, so yeah, thank you, Ricky. Thank you, Joe, for helping me out with the free code camp.
So I'm gonna go ahead and stop watching your stream and just bring up the webcams. Oh, are you gonna bring up? You're gonna bring up the. There you go.
I'll go over real quick. So long story short, I have an interview coming up. There's no date yet, but it's with Indeed, and one of the basic question is, name a real world problem that could be solved with an app. I'll have 45 minutes to talk about it, and then for the rest of the hour, I'll be talking to them about product management at Indeed. But it's that question of what problem could be solved, what real world problem could be solved with an app, and I have to flesh it out by talking about the users I had in mind, as well as the metrics I'm going to track, and also the features I want to have. And then they're going to have me prioritize the features as well, which is called a minimum viable product. But long story short, yeah, that's the gist of it. I had Ricky and Joe sleep on it. They thought a little bit about it, and we're here to just talk about some ideas, so I could come in the interview prepared and have a couple of things to talk about.
Right off the bat, right now when you mentioned your minimum viable product, your MVP, I know that based off of the videos I've been watching, when people design apps for using web development tools, that's something that they talk about is coming up with your minimum, the basic features that you need to implement to get a basic version of your app up and running. I believe they're called your most valuable parts, or your minimum viable parts.
Product.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll talk a little bit about what an MVP is. It doesn't, not in this context. It's most valuable player, but an MVP, minimum viable product, it's kind of what it sounds like. It's self-explanatory. It's what is the simplest version of the product that I have in mind that can be tested, so we can gauge how it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about it, if we have a product, we have a solution in mind, and we flesh it all out, we spend so much time and money, and then we find out it actually doesn't work, we just lost out on money and time.
Yeah.
It's best to sort of come up with the most bare bones testable version of it, so that we could get some information on how it's going, so we don't have to waste time on products we thought were going to do well but actually did not end up doing well. So if I could just start off, one thing I had in mind was an app that would let you sell food from your own home kitchen. And also, Joe, should I stop streaming this?
It's up to you. I minimized it slightly. It shows all 4 screens as like quarter panels, so I mean it's visible. They should still be able to read it. Maybe the video quality might be bad enough that they can't. But
yeah, no worries.
I'm looking at it. I like it.
If you want me to, if you do want to show something, let me know and I can bring up your stream and make it front and center.
Sounds good.
So it is readable.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to do that right now with what you're?
No. It's fine. Yeah, thank you though. I will say. So one of the solutions I had in mind was an app that would let you sell food from your home kitchen. Now, one of the 3 questions was, what group did you have in mind for this product? Well, I had in mind of someone who wanted to start their own restaurant, but didn't exactly have the capital to sort of rent out the retail space and get it all sorted out. So for them to have the ability to sell food from the home kitchen, I think this would bring a lot of business in small communities. On the second point, what features would I include? I would include, obviously, the person should be able to create their own store, list their products, have, let's say, a payment processing system, and then an messaging system as well between customer and restaurant owner as well. Now, I listed out those 4. And during the interview, they would want me to prioritize. They'd be like, okay, well, you listed all the features you want, but you only have a limited amount of time and resources. Now you have to prioritize. What's your MVP? Well, I would cut out the payment system, because I feel like you could sort of subsidize that with like Venmo or cash, right now we don't absolutely need to have a payment system for the MVP. We could, offset that to some other ones, but I think the most important ones would probably have to be the ability to create a store, list food items, and be able to message people. Anything else you guys would want to add?
I think. Go ahead, Ricardo. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I think you got pretty much most of the basics down because you just want people to be able to like get off the ground running, right? Like
Right.
say they have this food product they want to sell, and instead of having to open up a whole ass restaurant, they can just sell from their
Right.
kitchen using this app, right?
Right.
So I feel like the features you said do encompass like the basics you would need, right?
Right. Perhaps maybe
Messaging.
messaging.
Yeah. And then the payment processing service, like you said, we can offset that in the
Right.
beginning or something.
How
Go ahead.
how did you plan on getting the food from the chef to the customer? Was it a deliverable, or did the customer come pick it up?
I think we could have multiple options. Pickup is a good one. I've also thought about using third-party services like DoorDash or Grubhub. That could also work.
I think that would probably be the best solution. Personally, I don't know how comfortable most people would be with everybody showing up to their house to pick up food.
Right. Unless they had, unless they were like specifically catered to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I think integrating with like DoorDash or Uber Eats would probably
that'd be
probably
helpful.
work best, or even if possible, that probably at a later stage employing your own delivery team or making that another spot to work from is being a delivery person. But that's not really important at the moment. It's not going to be like a core feature.
Another one is location services. Would you think that's a core feature? I think that's important.
Oh, I mean, yeah, you don't want to order. What do you mean by location services? Like you obviously you want to prevent somebody from accidentally ordering food from a place that's like 4 hours away from them.
Exactly. Yeah. If I'm in the United States and I order something from Sweden, I sort of just yeah.
So how specific do these features need to be? These minimum features need to be.
It's what do you mean by that?
Like, could you say, you need a way to buy the food, you need a way to order what you want?
I guess that's up to me. It's like viable is the key word as well. You need to have it to be viable, because if you don't have enough features, then the app is sort of like, it does have it's not supposed to be a good app.
Yeah.
Right. MVPs aren't supposed to be good. They're not even supposed to be, but they're supposed to be at least viable, like usable.
So like a working app. It has to be a working app.
A working app that's intended to, convey whether or not we're going in the right direction. But that's essentially it.
So I think you would need a way for somebody to create a shop.
Right. Sign up.
Yeah. A chef to open up a shop. A way for somebody to place an order of what they want.
Right.
A way for somebody to pay for that order, and then a way for the food to get from the chef to the customer. Those
right
are
on.
And that's what I think your minimum features would be.
Right. To create a shop, right, on the chef's part, on the consumer part, to look for a shop, to place an order,
to pay for
and then to pay for it.
Because nobody's gonna use it if you don't get paid for it.
So I'm curious. You tell me what's the better MVP. Okay. An MVP that has a payment system, or an MVP that offsets payment to like Venmo, where it's just like, okay, just message me, like, just Venmo me that amount of money. Do we even really need the messaging app?
I suppose. I don't think the messaging would be necessary.
Right.
I suppose on how integrated the Venmo stuff is. If you're relying on the customer to exit the app, open up Venmo, input the chef's Venmo address into their Venmo, and then send them the right amount of money, that seems like a lot of steps.
Right.
Something integrated would be the smoothest idea. Maybe there's some way to integrate Venmo directly. That just you could do it all from in the app very quickly.
Right.
That would probably be best. I mean, obviously, the ideal solution would be to have a way to pay with like a debit or credit card,
Right.
or PayPal, using something like Stripe, which I know is a payment processing platform. That would be ideal. I think it's important enough because you're not going to get any chefs to join and start creating food and start creating shops if they're not going to get paid for it. Because ultimately that is their reason for doing things. They want to make money selling their food.
Is it possible to sort of have it be purely informational, and then when the person comes to the actual shop, they could pay, with cash or with card? They have their own card readers,
Yeah, I could see that. I could also see it kind of becoming an issue where, a customer places an order, and so the chef makes it, and the customer says they're going to pay when they get there, but the customer never shows up to pay. And now the chef is out of these ingredients that they probably spent their own money on to buy.
I hear you.
Whereas, like, that I worked at Starbucks, and we had that happen every once in a while where somebody would place a mobile order and would never come and pick it up.
But it's paid for, right?
It was paid for. If it wasn't paid for, even if it wasn't paid for, a company like Starbucks can kind of deal with that. They're a big enough company, they can take a hit of somebody not wanting to buy a drink. But a small home chef, if they're putting money into their ingredients, they don't want to make the food unless they know that unless they know they're getting the money for it. Because
I hear you.
Because if they have to throw their food away and they don't get the money, it's a complete waste of money
and time. Yeah, absolutely,
100%.
Right on. Okay, I hear you. That's good to keep in mind. I admit, guys, I'm kind of I'm not trying to shoot myself in the foot, but yeah, going into the interview is it's going to be a little like scary, but I appreciate you guys walking me through this. All right, and then last but not least, what metrics would you track?
What metrics would I track, or are you going to answer?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll answer. Then you guys can pop in a little bit.
Cool.
Okay, yeah.
But if it's going to be like a mobile app, then obviously amount of downloads. But that's outside the app, though, right?
That'd be like
inside
Google Play.
The app. Yeah, inside the app. How many orders were received? How many orders were completed successfully? How much activity is going on, right? So how many messages, if we do have a feature for messaging, what other metrics in the app, of course.
This one was the one I was weakest on. Maybe
customer satisfaction.
That's what I was thinking. Some kind of basic review system where they could rate their satisfaction, even if it's something as simple as like satisfied or not satisfied. You'd want to follow that.
Right.
Orders completed versus paid for, or
right.
If it became a problem where like people could pay when they get there, you could say like orders placed but never paid for.
Amount of chefs, amount of consumers,
amount of chefs creating,
right?
Amount of that would be the amount of chefs. Maybe you could break it down by location, like how many chefs are in different areas.
Oh, that's a good one. How about also like ingredients used too?
Yeah, quality of chef too. Wouldn't that be important? Like, is it more like home cooks? Is it more like, people who went to culinary school?
That could be a that could be a later on feature where like if somebody has some kind of culinary degree and they actually, you know, they you have a way to prove that they are better at making food, they could,
Right.
I don't know, gain like VIP status or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Yeah, they could get a little like
Be placed
verified check
higher, or
mark.
advertised a little bit more. Yeah.
Right, right. The reason why I mention ingredients is because it's possible to sort of be like, you know what, in this area, hot chicken is very popular. So now that we know that, you know, chicken in this area is very popular, we can we can talk to suppliers, and suppliers will perhaps give a discount, or you know they'll have more product for the folks in this area. That's just something to think about.
As in, like, your chefs will be able to go
Mm,
to these suppliers and get a discount if they're making the
Yeah,
food that's wanted.
exactly. So like you know, it's a lot of it is about data, you know, like what's popular, you know, like I mean this is sort of what we're thinking about, like what insight can we pull from all this activity
Yeah.
that's happening in the app? What insight can we pull? And how can we leverage that insight to become a more profitable business?
You know, like I said, this is the one I struggled with the most.
Yeah, no
Um,
worries. I struggle with it too.
I can't think
Um,
of anything else. Ricardo, do you have any ideas?
yeah. After Ricardo, go ahead, Ricardo.
in terms of like what data we need to collect.
Yeah, like what metrics would you be interested in seeing? Like if we finally had a fleshed out MVP for this.
Maybe the average
Mm,
cost of an order,
Oh, that's good. That's not bad.
or maybe average profit of an order for a chef.
Yeah,
that
but
would be kind of.
go ahead.
No, no, you can.
I was saying that would be good, but that also require them to like list out their expenses too. But that could be
That
for
might be a
them.
lot. Yeah.
Real quick, I'll say one more thing. I don't is a good feature. Tell
Oh,
me, this is not just one feature, but this is a lot of features. Should we give chefs a platform to like employ drivers and like other chefs? You know what I'm saying? Maybe down the line,
yeah.
but
That
not
seemed
like
like
Oh,
maybe a
yeah,
future feature.
a future feature. You know?
Real quick, it just popped
Yes.
in my head when you mentioned the chefs can handle profitability on their end.
Right.
Um, I feel like that could encourage chefs, the more dubious chefs, to buy lower quality ingredients
Oh, I see.
because they would try and start maximizing their own profits by buying the cheapest possible ingredients that they could and selling it for as much as they could. Or
Right. I guess that's kind of the point, though.
that would become
You
a
know,
worry for me though, personally, if I was using it.
like
'Cause
you wouldn't want them to buy like
I don't want
yeah.
somebody. Yeah, I don't want somebody to buy the cheapest ingredient that they can find.
Right, but wouldn't the market go towards the people who bought good ingredients though?
Possibly, yeah.
Right. Like the yeah,
You think it would kind of like
that's
just the system
sort
would,
itself out.
yeah. I
Kind
could see
of.
that.
Kind of because we're not I guess the app isn't trying to like how do I say like sort of you know, it allows people to, you know, keep track of their own expenses, but hopefully that doesn't, you know, get people to be like, "Oh, I gotta cut corners," you know?
I think you'd
Um,
have to have some kind of integrated review system to deal
right.
with that. That way, you know, if a chef actually, if people notice that a particular chef was using lower quality ingredients and just not cooking up to standard, um, reviews could be left and other people could see those reviews and, you know, make a decision
Uh-huh.
based on that.
Right, right. Right.
Um,
Go ahead.
Another concern I just had was like, how are you gonna deal with sanitation? Because restaurants get like they get that grading of it like A, B, and C
Right.
for their cleanliness. How are you going to deal with that for somebody's house? Maybe I mean maybe it could be like Uber where you have to go get your car checked out and approved by
Right, right.
a mechanic. Maybe you could do the same.
hmm I looked up in the state of California, you can sell food from your home kitchen as long as it's a licensed kitchen.
What is a licensed kitchen?
That I don't know what that entails. Let me look that up right now. What is a licensed kitchen?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Do you need like stainless steel all over? Like, do people
Mhm.
have to renovate their kitchens in order to be able to use this? Or in
That I
order to be
haven't.
able to sell? That might be a problem. That would be a
Wait,
problem.
I have heard of those like shared kitchens that people get and they sell like Uber Eats out of.
Oh, really? I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
What are those? Is it just like a communal thing where people all pitch in and
I don't know who owns it. I don't know if they like rent out the spaces or if they just yeah. It might be an app where I think they just like rent out the spaces. I guess it's for like a commercial kitchen and then they
Uber,
just sell
yeah,
out of it.
oh, Philip, you
yeah.
just froze and came
Hey,
back. You're good. You're good now.
okay, now I'm
But
good.
if you were talking at all, we didn't hear you.
I
Yeah,
was saying, they need to they need to probably get some licenses. They need to probably like like take certain tests.
The food handlers license, stuff like that.
hmm Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of like Uber. It's like people thought like I don't know if I can trust a guy to take me from point A to point B. What if he drives me to the lake and just dumps me there?
Yeah. My
So go ahead.
the way I would counter that is by saying there's not a whole lot of like restrictions and regulations as far as driving other people.
hmm
To be a taxi driver, as far as I know, you only need a license. Like you only really need a license.
Right.
Beyond that's the only thing that would be required by like the government.
hmm
Whereas selling food,
Might be more
you need
nuanced.
more than that. Yeah, you don't just need something simple like a license. You need a food license. You need to make sure that people handling the food are
Right. Right.
have a certificate. You need to make sure that the place is rated to be clean.
hmm I
There's
guess
I think there's quite a few steps.
there's quite a few steps. You're right, but I think what this app is trying to do is to cut out the biggest cost of needing to rent out retail space,
Yeah.
and also, you know, not them needing. This also gives them a platform too, to sort of like track their orders as well. Because let's say that you could sell food from your home kitchen, you'd have to write everything down yourself. You'd have to,
hmm
keep track of everything yourself. So this is supposed to
Mhm.
sort of like lower the barrier of entry from getting your own retail space to selling food from your home kitchen. I never really thought this would be super comprehensive, because if you're serious about being a chef, you're going to have to get those licenses,
Yeah.
but you would have had to get them anyway had you started your own restaurant. But this app's trying to, it wants to give you a platform. It wants to cut out the biggest cost of renting out that retail space.
And it's possible that getting your kitchen approved for this wouldn't be that difficult or
Right,
that
right,
costly. I'm just saying it's a
right,
concern and it's something we don't know about.
right,
We'd have to look into that or you'd have to look into that and
right.
figure out if it's viable. Because if somebody has to pay, a few $1,000s to get their kitchen renovated to the point where it could be considered commercial and get
hmm
licensed, then that really limits who's going to be willing to do it.
hmm
But if it's as cheap as having somebody come by and inspect with minimal work, with minimal
hmm
like renovations or anything like that, then
Right.
the barrier to entry is a lot lower and more people would be willing to do it.
I see. Okay, right on. Thanks, guys. Did you guys have any ideas you
Um,
guys wanted to pitch? We
I
can we can sort of talk about them too.
I think Ricardo and I both did, but I want to throw it out there. We're at 50 minutes at the moment.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I don't
Right,
know
right,
if I still have time. If you guys want to keep talking, I know we probably don't want to make these too long.
right. We
We
can we
could
can wrap
choose
it up by like
one.
an hour. Yeah.
Oh, we could quickly
Mm,
go over one of ours.
We
Sure.
can go over yours if you want. I didn't have anything too good, honestly.
Okay. Well, okay. My idea was some kind of emergency services app.
Right.
Um, just for a little bit of a background, I've been listening to a lot of true crime podcast, specifically Sword and Scale. And something I'm consistently noticing in the 911 calls that they play is when people are in situations and in emergencies, obviously there's a ton of panic. And people have a very difficult time relaying information to the 911 operator. Especially information that's correct and coherent. So my idea was some kind of simple emergency services app that's either government funded or privately funded, ideally government funded, kind of like the Amber Alert, where you can press a button on the app and it'll broadcast certain information to the authorities and possibly to some emergency contacts that you can designate in the app itself. You know, so we'll say the basic feature list for me was some way to, the app would have to gather your information. So location would be the biggest thing.
So that's a feature, right?
Yeah, it would be a feature. You'd have to have some really good like satellite services, GPS services backing it.
Right.
Because this is serious enough that you'd want it to be really accurate as possible. Possibly even like using multiple points to triangulate somebody. Not even just using like GPS satellites, but using cell towers and triangulating somebody's cell phone position if cell towers are available.
Yeah.
Name, description. Of the person that's sending it, and possibly even,
and that's already pre-filled, right? That's already filled
that's
out
something you could fill in when you download
good.
the app, and then on top of that, you stuff like that would be sent to local law enforcement.
Depending on your location, yeah.
Yeah, ideally the system would be set up in that it's just automatically processed and sent to the one closest to you. Instead of you having to designate which law enforcement agency it's sent to. And then I personally would also want the features to include, you know, the ability to define a list of people that the information is also sent to. Okay. Be it like parents, friends, you know, if you have somebody you're close enough to that would look out for you, you could send that information to you if you were in a scary situation. I think a key feature of this would be storing the information that's to be sent off of the user's device. You don't want to rely on the user's cell signal to get the information sent out. And so I had the idea of something like a Deadman Switch. And do either of you two know what a Deadman Switch is?
Basically, if you're not able to confirm that you're safe, it's going to go off anyway.
Essentially,
or like, yeah.
I know there's an email service for it. Basically, it's on a timer, and if you don't log in and cancel it or extend the timer out, then when that timer runs out, it sends out an email to whoever you designate. It sends out an email that you write to whoever you have added as recipients.
Right.
Well, something like that. You know, if I think the first thing I could think of would be like an outdoorsy situation where if you were going hiking in a really remote area, ideally you would still tell people about where you're going, but you could set up a automated message to be like, all right, I'm hiking out, I'm backpacking. Right. I'm going to hike out for a day, spend the night, spend a day there, and then come back. I should be back to where I started in 3 days. So I'm going to set my timer in this app to 3.5 days, or maybe even 4 days, just to give yourself some wiggle room if you want. And if you do not get back and cancel that within 3.5, 4 days, then your location is sent to authorities and the other contacts on your list. Your description is sent to these people, and any other information that is necessary, your location, stuff like that.
I really do like the Deadman Switch. You could also have varying levels of Deadman Switches. maybe the first one is sort of just your friends and family. Then they
Mhm.
call you up. They're like, "Hey, man, I gotta notice. Are you okay?" It's like, "Oh, sorry, my bad. I forgot to check in."
Yeah.
And if that person cannot be reached, the second Deadman switch goes off. I don't know, like a day later, and that one will go to actual authorities.
That's a great idea. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
You could prioritize. That way you're not 'cause obviously a
Yeah.
concern of this is like authorities just being blown up and spammed
Right.
by these things
Trolls
going
and
off that people forget, or trolls. Yeah. People who
right,
just set
right,
it off.
right.
I feel like since they're able to control 911 calls
hmm
and filter those out, that a solution could eventually be reached to deal with that kind of thing for this.
Right, right.
A big thing for me is I want I'd like some kind of oh shit button where if you're in a very serious situation all of a sudden, it needs to be very easy to trigger.
Right.
Not every situation can be put on a Deadman Switch.
Mm.
It's pretty dark, but say you were getting kidnapped and you were like
Right.
locked in a trunk but you still had your phone on you. Ideally, you have this app, you press a button and all the relevant information that is needed to help save you is sent
Mhm.
out to the proper people. But the details of that get a little difficult to work with because, if the oh shit button's too easy to press, then we have that situation again where people are just constantly
Right.
pressing it or
Right.
trolling the police.
hmm
Maybe some verification steps could go in. You press the oh shit button, a 911
Yeah.
dispatcher tries to call you a couple of times,
hmm
and if they don't get through, then they escalate.
Real quick, Joe. These are honest. These are very good features. I want you to talk a little bit about. You don't talk about in depth because we are the podcast is going on for a while.
Yeah.
But real quick, what groups did you have in mind, and then what metrics would you track? Give it like 2 minutes each.
Outdoorsy people. I gave the
Outdoorsy people.
hiking example. People that are often alone in remote situations.
Gabby Petito.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we remember that story. Yeah.
Hikers that get lost. And then honestly, I know it's not supposed to be, but I feel like everybody could benefit from
Right.
something like this. Like if anybody's in a situation where, they get kidnapped or they're if something dangerous is happening around them and they can't get
Mhm.
out of the situation, then everybody would be able to benefit. Maybe if you wanted me to get specific, children, make it simple enough that a child could use it.
Right.
Because children these days all have smartphones.
Right.
So if you can get this on a kid's smartphone, teach them to properly use it and not abuse it, and they get in a situation where they need to use it, they can use it, and it's easy enough. It could save lives.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't all have to be serious like that. I think hikers could definitely use it. It could be some sort of like SOS signal,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, for
No
people
worries.
that are stranded.
Last but not least, metrics, real quick. So the ones I think in my mind, amount of requests,
Mm-hmm.
amount of requests that actually go to authorities, amount of requests that are trolls, amount of requests that are actually serious.
Yeah.
Anything else, Ricky?
Maybe like, nah, I can't really think of anything.
No worries.
Maybe how often it's used, like how often it's like set up, I guess.
Oh, the location of how like sort of like a geographic like heat map, right? Like it seems to be that this area
Yeah, like these areas are pretty like dangerous.
yeah, because it
That
goes
might
off
be an
often.
interesting data.
That's
It-
actually pretty interesting.
It would take some work, but you might be able to track like situations where it wasn't used, where it could have been beneficial, and possibly track situations where it was available and either used or not used.
Mm-hmm.
But people know it's there and are able to think through enough to remember it and use it.
Right.
Or if no matter what, even with people having an easy to use app, they get in a really tense situation, an emergency situation, they freak out and they just their mind goes out the window. They're not able to remember that this is an option.
Right.
Because we've all grown up being told, call 911.
Right.
So everybody's knee-jerk reaction is to call 911. It might take a lot of work to get somebody to use an app in a situation like that.
Right. Ideally, they'd have that app, within they just either on the second page of their apps or accessible, maybe on their first page,
Mm-hmm. Or maybe a widget on your home screen.
Right.
Real quick for possible future feature, and this might be a little controversial, but maybe create some sort of system where if enough people have it installed and they're in an area and one person sets it off, you can grab the information from the other apps around that device and just use it to increase the amount of information that's being sent to whoever's needed. Say you're at because
like Amber Alert kind of.
Yeah, basically. There's been a few situations where you have a situation and 5 different people call the cops, and they're all giving different statements to the cops about what's going on about the same exact situation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you could create a system where if one person presses that "oh shit" button,
right,
it'll grab the descriptions of everybody around, their names, stuff like that, and send it to the authorities so that the authorities can either get there quicker, or if necessary, they can follow through and, find these people later on, figure out who was there, who was nearby, and go integrate it. But then you kind of get into some issues of like government spying. And I could definitely see people being very hesitant to use something that does that. But, the same thing could be said about just using an app that gives away your location services, which is something we all do every single day. If you guys don't think Google knows where you are, then you're wrong.
Right.
Google knows exactly where you are at all times, as long as you have a phone on you. But, yeah, that's my basic idea.
Right on. I appreciate. I might bring that into the interview.
You probably want to flesh it out a bit more, but
I will. Yeah, I will.
But yeah,
thank you guys.
You're welcome.
Ricky, you say something?
No, yeah, I was gonna say I like the whole idea, and my only concern would have been that privacy thing, but Joseph said, he addressed it.
Right.
It's information that's already pretty readily available, I guess.
You kind of just have to get people to accept and admit that it's already happening, and you may as well try and use it for good.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But there's definitely arguments to be made on the other side where it's just, I think that's the whole point of it being an app, is it's optional,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But exactly. Yeah, I think that exhausts me. Do you guys have anything else to add?
No, I think that's it. Thanks for a lot for talking to me through it, and yeah, man, I'm gonna think about everything that's been said on the podcast today, and yeah, hopefully I do well, and I'll let you guys know how the interview went.
Yeah, sounds good. We're at an hour and 3 minutes. Do you guys want to just chat and bullshit on the podcast, or do you want to wrap it up here, call it quits?
Yeah, we could do a little fun. What do you want, Ricky? I'll let you guys talk.
Yeah, go ahead, Ricardo. You decide.
I'm down for whatever.
Yeah, let's talk fun for at least 5-10 minutes. For at least 7 minutes or something.
All right, what's fun?
Yeah.
What have we been doing? What do you guys? What have you been doing that's fun, Philip?
Man, I was playing games with you guys.
Phasmophobia. We won finally yesterday.
Finally.
You
guys want to hop on that tonight? I don't know if you guys are available, but if you guys are, we should.
We'll see.
I'm available.
Let's see if I'm available.
Are you available right now?
As far as I know,
want to.
I am.
Yeah.
Miranda's out. She said she was just gonna go get food, but they're not eating anymore. They're out shopping or something.
They're still playing around?
Yeah, so I would be available right now if you guys want to play a round or two.
I'm down. I went to an orchid about a month ago. An
A
apple
what?
orchid or orchard. It's
Oh,
like
orchard. Gotcha.
yeah. I went to an apple orchid and it was like $20 to get in.
Really?
Spent
Didn't pay?
about 50, $60 the entire day. It was pretty good.
You just
It's
walked
fun.
around?
Yeah, it's a nice orchard. They had like games and stuff. Like it's like a carnival, like a big carnival. I was been cool, man. It's I do miss the California coast. I miss the California beaches, and I miss the vegetation that grows there too. Certain plants that grow there. Just I really like it.
You said the weather is pretty temperamental too. Pretty crazy.
Yes. Yeah. A few days ago it was about 20 degrees. Now it's about like 50 degrees. So it jumps around a lot.
Yeah. It's been steadily cooling down over here. Every once
In
in a while
Ontario.
we'll get a day that's pretty hot, but it's
Right.
been getting cooler and cooler, especially early mornings when we get up. It's actually cold. I get to wear sweaters, which is nice.
Hmm.
I don't wear sweaters or jackets for most of the year.
I hear you.
But what about up there
Ricky,
in San
go ahead. I'm
Fran?
sorry. Yeah, well, yeah. I was exactly about to ask that. How's the Emeryville, man?
It's pretty chill. I like the weather over here. It's been pretty fresh, like 70s, a little bit cooler, 60s sometimes.
That's comfy.
It hasn't rained much. It rained like a little bit. But yeah, it's pretty like fresh weather. I like it.
You and Karina settled in and everything?
Yeah, now we're pretty much just getting down to like our routines, getting our routines down and just
You the stay-at-home boyfriend, I guess?
yeah, pretty much right now.
It'd be nice. I told Miranda if she ever like makes it as a big fashion designer, like Chanel or something, I will stay at home. I'll cook and clean,
Right.
relax. She can go to work.
Yeah.
Hey, it's nice when the dynamic flips. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just for a little bit though, while I try to get a job or something.
Yeah, after that. You're doing pretty fucking awesome with that coding stuff. Every once in a while you'll post on Instagram and I'll see what you're doing, and it's like way more advanced than I'm at right now, and it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I'm trying. I still feel like a beginner, but I don't know. I feel like I keep learning, so I'm making progress for sure, and I see that. So that's what like keeps me going. But I don't know. It's kind of interesting. It's a lot to learn.
Oh yeah, it's probably something you'll never stop learning.
Yeah, honestly, I could see that. I see why people say that now.
I think it was a couple weeks ago, you put together a web scraper for apartments.
Oh yeah.
I saw that.
Was that
cool,
out of
man.
Python or?
Yeah. Yes, I used Beautiful Soup and Python.
How
Yeah.
difficult was that?
It took a while, but it's mostly because you have to go to the actual website. So in this case, I went to apartments.com.
Okay, so it only scrapes one the website?
Yeah. So it was just for apartments.com because every website's like a little different. So you have to basically make it work for each website individually, and then you can kind of like make something that puts them together. But yeah, mine basically, at first I was exploring like the search bar and like all the parameters. Like it changes the URL depending on like what city you search and if you want like within a certain radius. So I took note of all that, and then I made it so my program can take in those like search parameters, so I could search for specific.
So you can customize it.
Yeah, and then it only scrapes like the first web page of the search results. Like it gets all the URLs from the little like mini listings, and then I went to one specific listings like web page, and then I made a scraper for like the web page, and then I just do it for the whole list of links, and it returns like all the data.
That's pretty badass, dude.
Yeah, I was gonna build out more features. Like, what do I want to do with that data? I could even make it into like a little web app or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just haven't gotten around to adding all that. That's why I see why they say like sometimes you just gotta build that like MVP, the
minimum viable
product.
Yeah, because yours is all command line, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was just focusing on command line because I don't really like the graphic user interface programs in Python, like take Hinter. It just never appealed to me. Like if I want to do stuff like that, I would just go to like JavaScript and use HTML and CSS, make something that looks like really pretty.
I mean, you could probably do that fairly easily. Use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript on a front end, and then use that Python scraper as a backend and just interact between the two.
No, yeah, and especially since like I stored all the data as a dictionary, all I would have to do is make it into like a JSON, and then
Oh,
that's
yeah.
really easy to do with Python.
Yeah.
And then you can just transfer it as a JSON to the front end.
JavaScript would read that really easily, and then you just have to.
Yeah, honestly, I should probably get to that, but I have like a backlog of little like random projects I want to get done.
That'd be badass. All right, well, there's not much new for me. I've been working, gaming when I can. You know, I've been doing a lot of Free Code Camp. I'm on that last project for Free Code Camp, and it's like another step above everything else.
But you blazed through the whole thing. I'll tell you, once you finish that last little hurdle, dude, it's gonna feel so nice.
Yeah, I've been trying to think about what I want to do when I finish. I'm at the point where I'm like, I wouldn't say I'm obsessed, but I can't do any other programming stuff until I finish it. Like, I won't let myself. If I try and do something else, it just feels like a waste of time because I could just be working on that certification because I'm so close. I just want to get the certification and then I'll move on.
I feel, dude. I'm telling you, I was on the last problem for like a week, just because, and I had the same feeling the whole time.
I expect that it'll take me a few days, not a week or two. I've really been noticing that it helps to break them down into much, much smaller problems. Like that that Roman numeral one. That one was really complicated to me at first. But when I broke it down into small steps, it was really simple. I mean, I brute forced it. I wrote a giant switch statement. But it works, you know?
No, yeah. And I think that's important. You know, sometimes getting that first brute force solution is important because then you know how the problem works.
And you can
then like later on you can refactor that, you know, or you'll come across similar code or the similar problem.
Yeah.
And you can look up an even better implementation or like solution, you know?
I was thinking, Philip, real quick, because you're on Free Code Camp, after we finish that responsive web design certification, excuse me, instead of jumping straight into JavaScript, we could do a little bit of that little bootstrap course, because that doesn't use any JavaScript. I think it's under front-end development libraries. It's that third option right there. It's going to be, this one. Go in there, and then there's a bootstrap section. Should be the first one. Right there.
This one.
Just doing that after we finish HTML and CSS, because it's quick enough and it gives you a really cool intro to Bootstrap, and I feel like that's something that should have been shown to us while we were still pretty high on HTML and CSS, because after doing the responsive web design and then jumping into JavaScript, you kind of forget a lot of the HTML and CSS stuff.
Right.
And Bootstrap can be really useful in certain cases.
I was thinking, so this is not like an order, right? Like this is all like, if you click on one, it's like beginning, like, you know what I'm saying? It's all like, it's not like dependent on each other, right?
Not necessarily. Some of them are more advanced than the others.
So like data analysis with Python, could I do this?
You could jump into it. You could start doing it. It wouldn't stop you. But there are, in some cases, there's like completing the earlier certifications will help you with these other ones. Because they'll give you a more basic knowledge.
Right.
Whereas a lot of these, I think, are more advanced.
I might actually like, I might actually do this in my own time.
Yeah.
Because I've worked with SQL, I've worked with Python, so this would like kind of like bring it all together. So that's good.
It'd be useful. But yeah, that's mainly what I've been doing. I was playing Minecraft for a really long time, but I've kind of put that on the back burner.
Have you seen Minecon, dude?
What was that?
Have you seen Minecon?
Is that the convention for Minecraft?
Yeah.
I've heard of it. I've never been or paid too much attention to it.
It's as bad as like it sounds.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's like if you think the developers are awkward, the people who attend are like
really bad.
Holy smokes, dude! Like there's a compilation, and some of them are like, you know, and some of the compilation is like unfair. Like it's okay to be a little awkward, but like some of them are just really like, Yeah, like one of them asked the developers like, "How much money do you have?" And that's just not like, that's not really like an approach.
it's a bit of an
Yeah,
uncomfortable question to ask.
right. But it's they're kids, they don't know better. But yeah, man.
But yeah, well, that's all I have. That's all I've been doing. Do you guys have anything else to add? I think we could probably wrap it up now. We're at an hour 15, so a nice long episode.
No, yeah, that's pretty much all I've been up to too. Not really.
Yeah. Let me spend another hour talking about me.
Yeah,
let's just do that.
Go for it. I'm down.
You know what, Philip? I'm sure you could. All right.
I could. I don't want to. It's like I'm telling my deepest, darkest secrets. No, but Ricky, Joe, I feel good wrapping it up here. This was a really long, good episode. I'll say one more thing about this is that I've heard this years ago, and it didn't really make sense to me until recently. But you kind of never lose when you go after a dream, because if it doesn't come to fruition, it sort of broadens your horizon. You sort of can do something else. So whatever ventures we set out to do, if we don't, it's okay if we don't ever, I guess, get the result that we want, because after a while we'll find something else. We'll have more dreams, but it's important to chase after those dreams to sort of know, okay, this didn't work out. What went wrong? What went right? And then you could just sort of readjust. So I'm honestly really happy that I'm doing this podcast with you guys, because like we're doing something.
Yeah.
We're going after something. This is great.
It's been slow going, but we're still putting out episodes and we're still talking about it, and we're still learning. I haven't stopped learning web development. I know Ricardo's still working on it too.
Right.
Philip, you're working on your project manager stuff, working on interviews, and it's all good experience that'll take us farther.
Yeah, we're not just laying around just, with our thumb in our mouth,
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you guys for watching. This is episode 3, Random Access Energy. I don't know if I released last episode as audio only. If I release this one, I'm just throwing this out there. If I release this one as audio only, is anybody listen to this as audio only? Make sure you check us out at twitch.tv/Solving Relic.
That sounds right.
No, I think I might have changed it. I changed the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is YouTube. Go on YouTube and you search for Random Access Energy, you'll find it. I don't remember. No, it's still Solving Relic. Yeah, twitch.tv/Solving Relic, one word. You can watch us live and then actually follow along as Philip learns HTML and CSS. And eventually when we get to the point, we'll be going through JavaScript. We're all trying to figure it out together, and we'll probably spend 2 or 3 episodes on this fucking cash register problem when we get to it. But
if that's it, then sorry, Joe, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
If that's it.
You go ahead.
I said if that's it, then I'm gonna hop off, and I'll talk to you guys later. We'll play Phasmo in a little bit.
Sounds good. All right. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.